Most Australians see themselves as remote and insulated from much of what is bad in the rest of the world. Terrorism and insurrection, starvation and hopelessness happen elsewhere, somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere, never in Australia. For too long we were lulled into the belief that problems with the environment belong to other parts of the world, that poisoned oceans, degraded land and devastated forests didn't apply to us. What do you think?
What is the future for Australians? A. We can adapt to any crisis. B. We need urgent changes in behaviour and attitude. C. The future is beyond our control.
The answer is B. The simple truth is that Australia faces some of the most crucial environmental problems of any continent on this planet. Like the rest of the world, we need to make changes in behaviour and attitude. 40 years ago, at the end of the Second World War, Bob's dad was one of millions of men coming home. Sonia's parents would immigrate 5 years later. New values were being created. Jobs meant hope. Consumerism was like a new, all-embracing religion.
We need things consumed, burned up, worn out, replaced and discarded at an ever-growing rate.
That was how a New York marketing consultant defined the spirit of the 50s. After years of depression and war, we were like orphans in the lolly shop. Washing machines turned drudgery to joy. Fridges were as flash as cars. There were pop-up toasters, Laminex tables. Plastic was the miracle of the age.
Never again will you tire yourself with our making, food mixing or beating, or with mashing, stirring, whipping, folding or juicing.
Electricity was the smart, clean way to cook, and nuclear energy promised unlimited power. Nothing could stand in our way, least of all a desert. A boom bigger than Maralinga was taking over city and bush. War brides produced millions of children. Australia had gone without for too long. We began nursing the babies of the boom on the generous nipple of consumer demand. The throwaway society learned to walk before it could crawl. Those babies are today pushing the nation's supermarket trolleys and have teenage children. Most of us are blinded by the sheer excesses of consumerism. 20% of the world uses 80% of its resources. 10% of Sonia's weekly shopping bill goes to packaging that only creates rubbish. Most fresh produce doesn't need packaging. Without it, food is generally cheaper to buy and more nutritious. Many of the items in Sonia's supermarket trolley rob her family and add to pollution. For every item of packaged and processed food she buys in a supermarket, a container has to be made. After it's opened and the contents used, billions upon billions of containers are simply thrown away. America is the #1 throwaway society, followed closely by who?
Which of the following countries dumps the most household rubbish? A. Japan. B. England. C. Australia. D. Italy. E. New Zealand.
5 points for C. Every year, Australians toss out 15 million tonnes of rubbish. That's 15 times our body weight per head of population. It makes us second only to Americans in the world rubbish stakes. The throwaway society sees everything it buys and owns in only 2 categories: useful or useless. But the useless part of it would very quickly bury the Australis family in a mountain of its own garbage. We put our garbage out of sight and out of mind. If it were dumped at the Sydney Cricket Ground, our garbage would reach the height of a 160-storey building every year. But is there more to it?
Is any damage done by household rubbish? A. Yes, most garbage pollutes. B. No, councils dispose of it. C. Very little, rubbish isn't important. D. No, it's the price we pay for a consumer society.
The correct answer is A. Unsorted household garbage, loaded with toxins, eventually leaches into the soil, polluting waterways and ocean. Here's Jimmy Barnes.
We throw out packaging, plastics, rotting organic waste, bottles and cans, all mixed together. Hidden among this enormous volume of material are more dangerous items, a nightmare cocktail of poisons and corrosives, oils and acids. When it's covered with earth, it starts to react with itself. Poisonous chemicals and heavy metals like mercury, cadmium and nickel mingle and are washed down to the bottom of the tip and into pipes connected with the sewage system. More of it leaches out and ends up in creeks and rivers. Much of it has one eventual destination, the ocean. Look, we're not likely to give up painting our houses, using batteries or cooking chips, but caring about the environment means limiting the use of anything likely to become a poison to the ground, air or ocean. And don't forget, investigate the alternative cleaners and solvents. Washing soda, borax, ammonia, vinegar and the rest. There's many of them, they're cheaper and they don't pollute. Remember, whatever you do, it's better to put it in the garbage than to toss it down the sewer. Less is best.
Plastic is a major problem. It's made from oil. We've more than doubled our use of it in 16 years, and it gives us products we quickly discard. Australians throw away 390,000 tonnes of plastic every year. It represents enough energy to meet our entire residential gas demand. Under the ground, most plastics never break down. If it reaches the ocean, it ends up in the bellies of whales and dolphins. Sonia put each type of fruit and vegetable in individual plastic bags. Those bags will still be in the earth hundreds of years from now. Polystyrene food containers aren't any better. Ozone-destroying chlorofluorocarbons are used to make many of these containers. They keep food warm for as long as it takes the customer to open one of them. The container Amanda used and discarded will litter the earth forever.
Why put everything you buy in separate bags? Carry your fruit and vegetables in a cardboard box. Better still, take your own basket from home and refuse plastic bags. It may be hard to remember and feel strange at first, but there'll be a lot less plastic bags thrown away.
Recycling is slowly gaining popularity, as Australians everywhere realise it's the only way we're likely to reverse the extensive damage already done by our throwaway society's mountainous garbage.
How many separate bins are needed for recycling? A. 2 large bins. B. 3 small bins. C. 5 medium bins. D. 12 small bins.
The answer is C. Proper recycling needs 5 medium-sized bins. It's not as inconvenient as it might seem, and the effort is its own reward.
Recycling not only helps the environment to recover from the damage we've inflicted, but it changes domestic values. You quickly become conscious of what packaging you buy. There's one bin for glass. Australians throw out 470,000 tonnes of glass each year. That's enough sand to cover the length and breadth of 3 beaches the size of Bondi to the depth of 1 metre. The second bin is for paper and card. All paper except milk cartons and other composites of paper and plastic can be recycled. Better to get your milk in bottles. The third bin is for cans. Australians throw out enough metal every year to make 400,000 new cars. The fourth bin holds food scraps and organic matter, which comprises about 30% of household waste. The fifth bin holds plastics. If you've already collected a supply of plastic bags, reuse them. Washed, they make an alternative to cling film and help keep food fresh. PET cool drink bottles with coloured bases are collected. The plastic is ground into flakes, used in products like plastic paint and filling for clothes and toys. It ultimately pollutes, but the process is at least delayed.
Food scraps belong in your garden and can return rich nutrients to the soil. In a moment, Elle Macpherson shows you how.